To nobody's surprise, Shane Van Gisbergen wins Watkins Glen. However, the way he did it may surprise you, because he was about 30 seconds behind the leader after his final pit stop that he made under green. He made up all the time under green, took the lead back, and still won by like 7 seconds. He is not human on these road courses. He is Superman, dude. Thank you for tuning back into Maine Motorsports. I am Jake, and let's go over Watkins Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen on the last stage stays out, while the whole rest of the field basically pits. SVG ran as hard as he could. He pits under green, loses all that time, drops back to like 25th. Basically every other car like Zilich and Ty Gibbs, they were just trying to save gas, make it to the end, but they had such a lead. But SVG on fresher tires and knowing for sure he could make it on fuel, passed 20-something cars and made up 30 seconds under green flag conditions, takes the lead from Ty Gibbs like it was nothing, and he wins yet another road course race. His 7th career Cup Series win. All 7 are on road courses. It's just remarkable the things he's able to do. That being said, before I get into like the finishers of the Cup Series race, we gotta once again talk about Fox. This was, to my knowledge, the first ever Cup Series race that was broadcasted on Fox. And something felt off. The problem is Fox only focuses like on the top 4 or 5 cars. They tend to focus on one car at a time. Instead of showing multiple different battles, they just show the top 4 or 5 cars. They kept talking about SVG and Connor Zilich and Michael McDowell, the front runners. If you were mid-pack, they were not going to talk about you. Back of the field, they were not going to talk about you. Not to mention, they missed so many crashes and spins. They missed the Josh Berry crash. They missed the Cody Ware hard hit that should have been a caution. Catherine Legg had a crash through the bus stop. No replay. We didn't get like any replays. At the very least, when NBC would broadcast the races or ESPN, they would show replays of spins that were like mid-pack on back. Yeah, it might not be worth much in the grand scheme of things. Oh, a car in 20th place spun. But like, we want to see it. And it's like, bro, show it. At least try. I get Fox has never broadcasted a race on Watkins Glen, so they're probably a little bit confused on like camera angles and such, but like the problem is they cut to the crash late and it's just like they don't even, like, they briefly mention it and they go on to the next thing. It still happened. Like, say if you're a diehard Josh Berry fan, you want to know. Say if you're somehow a diehard Cody Ware fan, and that crash, if you saw the onboard, was really hard and could have been a caution, should have been a caution, but it wasn't. I just don't understand. This was worse than Talladega. Because the thing is, that Talladega spring race has always been broadcasted on Fox. So, okay, we saw the gradual decline. However, from going from NBC, one of the best broadcasting networks for NASCAR, probably the next best right now after Amazon Prime, which starts in a couple weeks, by the way. Going from NBC to Fox really showed. If I fell asleep during this race, but I don't think the race was bad. The SVG run at the end was incredible. But we didn't see any of the mid-pack battles. The most of the day, he was just dominating, right? Leading by a handful of seconds, toying with the field. But mid-pack, I guarantee there's a lot of things going on. A lot of battles. But we never saw them. We never saw them. Anyway, let's go over some finishers real quick. We'll talk about the race as a whole. SVG wins this race. He is now in the last spot of the chase, 16th in points. Michael McDowell, basically the second best car all day. Very good road course racer, Michael McDowell. He had the same strategy as SVG, like on the last stage, he stayed out. Ran as hard as he could for a handful of laps. Pitted, got tires. And was on the same strategy as SVG at that point, which is why he clawed his way back up to second. However, it's SVG. You ain't gonna catch him. Ty Gibbs, bro, comes back for a 3rd place finish. I say comes back because he had a rough race at Talladega and a rough race at Texas after Ryan Preece took him out. 3rd place. And Chase Briscoe, a much needed good day in 4th place. I believe he's still out of the chase by like a few points. Chase Briscoe, while he had a rough start to the year, a lot of things go wrong for him. No doubt in my mind he'll make the chase. He's been fast. He's been fast since last year. He just, the bad luck's out of the way, I feel like, for Chase Briscoe. From this point on, Chase Briscoe will probably be consistent. I'm just feeling it. And then Tyler Reddick still maintains an over 100-point lead, 5th place. Everywhere he goes, he's fast. It's great. It's very good. Tyler Reddick's having a remarkable season. And then the rest of this top 10 is just an absolute fever dream. Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, RCR teammates, 6th and 8th. Austin Dillon's first top 10 of the year. Kyle Busch's second top 10 of the year. RCR actually had a good race in the Cup Series. AJ Allmendinger, who's great at road courses, finished in 7th. Not really surprised there. Austin Cindric's always been a quiet road course racer. That was his bread and butter in the O'Reilly Series, and his only truck win, to my knowledge, was at a road course in Canadian Tire. Granted, he took out Kaz Grala, but still. And then John Hunter Nemechek gets a 10th place finish. The strategies at road courses sometimes allow for funny little top 10s like this, and I got no problem with that. Let's go over some other notables. Blaney 11th. Chris Buescher had a great day. Ultimately didn't get the finish he wanted. He was up in the top 5 for the first 2 stages. Still got a bunch of points, though. Daniel Suarez, 13th, still maintains a 14th place on the chase grid. However, he tried a strategy in stage 2 by staying out on older tires. Went from 2nd to, 30th. Okay. Obviously, he was on the offensive strategy in the last stage. He pit under green and made up spots as the run went on. So that's not bad, I guess. But, still. 13th's not bad for Suarez. Ryan Preece, 14th. Cole Custer, a solid top 15 for him. Denny Hamlin, not the best day, 16th. Todd Gilliland spun out earlier in a Stage 2 incident with William Byron. I'll get to William Byron in a minute. He comes back for a 17th place finish. Zane Smith, 18th. Eric Jones, top 20. Both Legacy Motor Club cars in the top 20. And then here's the first, big one. Connor Zilisch had a great race yesterday. Keep in mind, he also won the O'Reilly Series race just the day before that. I'll get to that as well. Zilisch was maybe the one guy who could have taken down SVG. He was one of the guys who tried running the entire last stage after that pit stop to the end, and he was battling Ty Gibbs, saving fuel, and they were fighting for the lead. Zilisch was finally given the green light to start pushing it, but he kept locking up his tires, and ultimately he had a flat tire with just a handful of laps to go. SVG would have probably won the race anyway, but Zilisch could have finished 2nd or 3rd. Tough deal. I think Zilisch is yet to score a top 10 this season in the Cup Series side of things. He's obviously very talented. He was very fast. Just the results will come. It's just this rookie season so far has been pretty bad. Christopher Bell, another tough day, 21st. Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe have had so much speed this year. Bell was, I think, a top 10 car. He missed the bus stop, had to come to a complete stop. They kind of sidelined his day. It's just tough for him. Everything's been going wrong. He's not having a very good year for his standards. He's usually top 2, top 3 in points. He's outside the top 10 right now. Joey Logano finishes dead last. His 4th finish straight of being 30th or worse. His worst stint of his career since his rookie year back in 2009. Even year Logano might be over. He's been having a terrible year so far. He's 18th or 19th in points. Dang, Joey. The fall off's pretty hard. Everything that could go wrong this year has been going wrong. And what do you know? A dead last finish for Joseph Logano. And one more thing I want to touch up on. Hendrick Motorsports. What the hell was that? Not all the cars qualified terribly. Larson, Elliott, Bowman all ran 25th or worse, all day on just raw speed. On speed! Keep in mind, Kyle Larson's a guy who's won several road course races. Chase Elliott was arguably the best road course racer in NASCAR from 2018 to 2021 with the Gen 6. Bowman, he's had his moments. And then William Byron was the one kind of bright spot for a while. He was running the top 10 for a little bit, but even that couldn't last because he got spun out on a restart in stage 2. He gets damage because Ryan Blaney ran into him. Not Blaney's fault, but that contact broke William Byron's toe link, and he finished 3, 4, 5 laps down? He ran 3 laps down in 36th. The highest finishing Hendrick car was Larson in 23rd. Elliott finished 24th, and Bowman finished 25th. Terrible day. No speed all weekend. Elliott, even in the first stage, tried to flip the stage, but to try and get some stage points. He didn't even pit. He couldn't even get stage points because he was so far back. Chase Elliott, arguably his best track. He's won 2 races here and used to be so good at Watkins Glen. Hendrick used to be great from 2018 to 2023. They did not lose a race at Watkins Glen. Now they can't even get a top 20 finish. They didn't even get any stage points. I was in shambles. You know, I like Hendrick Motorsports, it's clear. But it happens. But just wow. I guess one more thing too. I guess Ross Chastain, he did win a stage. Had a lot of speed. Ultimately, he got a pit road penalty, I'm pretty sure, to my knowledge. And then I ruined another good day for Ross Chastain. Trackhouse, man. I mean, I know SVG won the race. Obviously, that's great for Trackhouse. But just, you know, Trackhouse has been very off this year. SVG's a given to win road courses. We know that. But, like, Zilich has not had a top 10 yet. And Chastain's pretty decently out of the chase. The racing itself was okay, but I just think Fox didn't show any of the good battles. It was an SVG dominant race, and seeing him come through the field the way he did was awesome, entertaining, but like that middle stint of the race, I don't know what was happening mid-pack. They only showed the top 3 or 4 cars for a majority of the race. On the contrary, though, the CW in the O'Reilly series is must-see TV. The battle between Zilich and Jesse Love on the final lap, in which on the final corner, Zilich power drove his way around the 2 car. Very reminiscent of the 2023 O'Reilly Series race at the same track, in which Sam Mayer in that same number 1 car passed Sheldon Creed in that same number 2 car on the same corner coming to the white flag. Deja vu. But the racing was great. The CW has such a good broadcast. They're excited. Parker Kligerman, Jamie McMurray, Adam Alexander, they're into it. They're invested. They're cheering. They're energetic. They want to be there. It's not even the fact they want to be there. They're just genuinely passionate about racing, so they're excited. The Fox booth has none of that. Mike Joy's okay, but he's, older. He's not as good as he used to be. Clint Boyer is so annoying. Now that hot rod. Like, just be quiet, bro. Talking over everybody. And Kevin Harvick's, like, fine. Jeff Gordon was a better past racer broadcaster, but like, I don't know. The Truck Series race, Caden Honeycutt wins his first career race. That's huge for him because obviously he was dying to get that first win. He took over for Corey Heim in that truck that won literally 11 races the season prior. So a lot of weight on Caden Honeycutt's shoulders, but he did it. There was a couple interesting moments in that truck race with restarts. There was this restart with Ross Chastain jumping the restart. That was called correctly. He did jump it. But this restart with Gio Ruggiero was controversial because he really didn't jump it. The car behind, or the truck behind, kind of went early and gave Gio that push that kind of made it seem like Gio jumped the restart, but Gio did not. And they penalized Gio Ruggiero for it. However, NASCAR came clear and said afterwards that it was indeed a mistake. They should not have penalized him for it, but they did. And there's a couple funny moments too with the track limits, those like tire barriers they put in. Chris Wright right here on this restart, bam, he hits this one, and then bam, just hits 2. But he hit both those tire barriers. That was pretty funny, I will say. I do like the fact they enforced track limits though, because we saw in years prior, drivers just didn't care. They just used any asphalt. They were getting dangerously close to the wall at certain times. So I guess it's like a safety thing. But it's also like it shows a little bit better etiquette that drivers are actually able to keep their cars on the racing surface rather than just like using as much pavement as they could. But yeah, good for Caden Honeycutt. Poor Gio Ruggiero though. Ruggiero, I don't know how to say his name because he didn't jump the restart. He could have won his second race, I believe. And then on the IndyCar side of things, because there was an IndyCar race as well, Christian Lundgaard wins a race. Good for him. He actually passed David Malukas late in that event. Someone not Alex Palou. That's good. I mean, Alex Palou kind of was probably going to win this race. There was that huge lap 1 incident that kind of took out many of his main contenders, like Felix Rosenquist and Pato O'Ward and Scott Dixon were in that. But that caution that came out for Alexander Rossi stopped on the racetrack and getting out of his car, and they still did not throw the caution. That was weird. Like, they should have threw the caution earlier. He's literally getting out of his car on the front straightaway. Throw the caution, bro. They did. I think Alex Palou didn't make his pit stop yet, though. So he had to pit under the caution, lost his track position. But Christian Lundgaard is your winner with David Malukas in second. He will get his first win very shortly. I'm very sure of it. And then Graham Rahal usually always runs pretty good here, gets a third place finish. I always loved Watkins Glen. I mean, I've been there 3 times in my life. I didn't go this year because I think this is the different time of the year. I don't know why they made it in May. Because people were complaining about, since it was, a different time of year, there was a lot of mud. Fans had issues with the mud, especially people who brought their trailers. Apparently, it was really messy. Usually it's in the summer. Watkins Glen's actually going to be back in the summer, starting in 2027 as a chase race, early September. It's still kind of the summer. Much warmer, though. But the rains we had and the mud caused issues for the campers. We saw a lot of cars get their splitters ripped off just because of how wet the grass was. Sheldon Creed had that massive crash because he just went through the grass. A couple of Truck Series drivers had issues with that grass too, just for it being wet. But Watkins Glen in May, not a fan. It's just such a weird. It felt like a fever dream. The whole Cup Series race was a fever dream, just because it was a different time of year and just a different broadcasting network. It was weird. Yeah, Watkins Glen though, and then I believe next week is the All-Star race. That weird Dover All-Star race we're about to get. That's basically a full points race, except there's no points. That's Watkins Glen. Thank you for tuning in. SVG is unstoppable. That's all I'm going to say. There's no stopping him. Wow. Cheers.